We're here with our 5th video in the series for Hatch 2012, and today we are talking to Maggie MacDonald and Stephanie Markowitz, the team behind Paper Laced with Gold. Hi, ladies. How are you? We're going to take a walk along the waterfront here. It's a beautiful day. There's a very distinct story behind this project, which you have mentioned many times is inspired, I believe, from your youth in Cornwall. Can you talk a little bit about the sort of background to the story that makes Paper Laced with Gold?
Oh, sure. In fact, the background to our interview is kind of like the background to the story. We're walking with the mills behind us, the Canada Malting Company. But that'll probably end up being a condo at some point. But it's the larger story of industrial decline in Western nations like in Europe and North America. People who used to have these secure blue-collar unionized jobs and secure a decent wage. You didn't have to be an elite to have a decent wage for quite a long time. But now that industry is in decline, there's a generation of the children of formerly unionized blue-collar workers who are saying, okay, well, where am I going to work? And what kind of work can I expect? And education is getting so expensive now. University isn't cheap anymore. So the story is about these two characters from Cornwall who develop necessary fantasies to insulate against the pain of this decline, but also to imagine other possible futures for themselves. And they happen to run into each other. So they're from Cornwall, which was a paper mill town. So it had that distinctive sulfur smell for a long time, and the mill closed. It's a beautiful place to be from. And they've both left at different points, and they run into each other in another mill town, which is Terrace Bay, Ontario, on the north shore of Lake Superior. So these two dreamers are kind of drawn by the sound of something familiar, you know, this kind of ancient echo of a pop song drifting out from somewhere far away, and, you know, the promise of a future that they can invent for themselves.
You both look so cool in your sunglasses right now. It's like I'm interviewing two silent film stars who are not being silent right now. You know, on a beat. It's like we're in Cannes, actually, if you just like stand up behind this not so pretty boat here. The people that you have performing with you in this piece, you mentioned that you regularly work with artists and get them to do things that aren't necessarily their primary art form. So, for example, having musicians as actors, designers as actors, rather than actors as actors. How did you come about that decision, and how does that work? Like, what do you love about that choice artistically?
Well, I think it ends up being, I mean, with our former show, The Rat King, we worked with primarily, not completely, but primarily performers that were used to being in rock bands and performing as musicians, and it's an entirely different form than being a formally trained actor and taking a story and actually presenting it, you know, from a perspective of a trained actor. And there's something I think we kind of fell in love with that. With the Rat King, mostly because there's something kind of organic about it. There's something not contrived about it in a way that allowed us, as artists who come from not necessarily, you know, primarily strictly theater perspectives, to not feel stuck in just the theater acting presentation, but we could actually, you know, create something that was a little bit more, in a way, multidisciplinary, or, you know, multi-arts.
You mentioned The Rat King, which was the last time that the two of you collaborated, and that was a few years ago now. So I'm wondering why the wait in between projects, and maybe what the two of you had been up to in the interim?
Well, it takes a long time to turn the coal of life into a diamond. It takes a lot of pressure, a lot of years. So we're racing like geological time to produce our new work together. But we had collaborated on other things in the intervening years.
Oh, okay. Which things?
We did a hidden cameras video. It was
starring role. in a music video that I produced for the cameras, which was really fun.
Yeah, I got heat stroke and Stephanie put an ice pack on my neck. That's love. That's love.
That is love. That's testament to a beautiful friendship.